Hello, I'm John from FitKit Systems. I'd like to introduce you to the Fit Stick. This is a tool I developed for bike fitting, and I wanted a tool that would be more versatile than our original seat height tool, but would also measure seat height. A tool more accurate than a regular tape measure, and a tool that is more useful than a standard builder's level that many bike fitters use in their fit studio. So the Fit Stick is a modular tool. It's based off a 48-inch long builder's level. It comes in three different options. The first one is a seat height tool as presented, and we can measure seat height either from the pedal spindle or from the center of the bottom bracket with this tool. The second option adds another component to the tool, which is a drop pin used for measuring saddle to bar drop. And then the third component adds a digital inclinometer, which will snap into the tool. And this has more application used on a stationary cycle or a fit bike for measuring a simulated seat tube angle. But there's other uses as well. So how does one use it? Let's start with seat height. If we want to measure seat height from the pedal spindle, we pull this pin out and back to expose this prong right here, and the prong locates down on the pedal spindle next to the crank arm. What I do is I bring the drop tool up and I use it as a locator against the seat post, and then this top plate which I've slid up I then slide down on there. I'm using the level inside the tool to make sure it's vertical, and I'm lining the crank arm up with the seat tube past this pin to the top of the seat height. And if I now pull that tool off, and I can read the scale on top, and I've got the measurement either in inches or in centimeters and millimeters of the saddle height. Many fit systems and many people will document seat height from the center of the bottom bracket instead. So this tool will do that also by moving this pin up and clicking it into place. This can get located in the recess of the bottom bracket, and that will accommodate holes from 5 millimeters to 25 millimeters in diameter, which will be probably 95% or more of the crank sets on the market. Again, I can bring the pin down to the seat post, slide the top plate down, make sure the level is vertical in this plane, take that off and read the saddle height there from the bottom bracket. So that's measuring the saddle height. To measure saddle to bar drop, I'm sitting this on top of the saddle, sliding the drop pin out over the handlebars, and then bringing the pin down to rest on top of the bar. And then I'm adjusting the height here to make sure the saddle itself is horizontal, and then I can read in here what the actual measurement is of saddle to bar drop. Now, if you've got a saddle that's an uncommon shape back here, sometimes I'll choose to bring this forward and just measure off the nose, particularly if it's got a big curved up tail or there's a strong tilt to the saddle. So this will be a more accurate saddle to bar drop if you've got a strong rise on the rear of the saddle. If the handlebars are higher than the saddle, then one can simply just slide this along the other way, and in this case we're sitting this on the handlebars, and then this end's coming down to the saddle. So in that case, we've got a handlebar higher than a saddle. There's a few other uses for the tool as well. The digital level can be used to either set the bike level. As I said, it can be used to determine a seat tube angle on a fit bike. Some people have come up with ways to take a measurement, and there's a little plate on here for holding it, so doing a different type of angle this way. It's open to creative interpretation as to how many other measurements you can take. The tool is keyed to or calibrated to 0 off the end of this prong, so we could also use it to measure a hood to saddle tip measurement. We could measure a stem out to saddle length measurement as well. And so we can use it as a general measuring stick in terms of linear distances. A few other uses for the Fit Stick. It can be used for a vertical measurement from floor up to saddle height. So we could take a saddle height measurement that way. We could also do a handlebar height measurement that way, and we could subtract the difference if we want saddle to bar drop. If we're dealing with a mountain bike, I would angle this out and use the drop pin out to the center of the grip on a mountain bike to determine saddle drop. If, as may be common, the bars are higher, then again I would slide this back to the seat and just measure it in reverse. I also use this frequently on tri-bikes for measuring the distance from the saddle to the aero pads. So just in exactly the same way, but instead of coming down to the base bar, we're coming down to the center of the aero pads and measuring the drop that way. The drop pin will go from 0 to 15 centimeters, and there's an optional extra pin that will go deeper to 25 centimeters. But for 99% of cases, that 15 centimeter drop is a sufficient distance of measurement. So that's the fit stick. It's a multi-purpose fitting tool, most commonly used by bike fitters, but also for enthusiast cyclists who want to do their own adjustments and move fit positions around from bicycle to bicycle. You can find these online at fitkitsystems.com, and as I said, you've got the choice of 3 options: saddle height only, saddle height plus drop pin, or that plus the digital level. Enjoy!